Hi everyone, welcome to mock interview series powered by PM School. Today we have Ankit Chaudhary, who's a senior PM at Indeed.com. He's graciously, said yes to be a guest on the series. Welcome, Ankit.
Thank you, Aakriti. How are you doing?
Good, good. Thank you so much. So the idea of this series is that we want to ask questions that are typically asked in product management interviews and help our listeners understand what are the questions, how do you solve them, and what's the process to go ahead and cracking these interviews. So today's question is, I think this has been asked in for generations of PMs. It's a very typical question. So should we get started there?
Yes, please. Let's go for it.
So the question we are trying to solve today is, what's your favorite product and how would you improve it?
Sure. So, Aakriti, when you say like a favorite product, right? Can I choose anything like a product or a service, be it a physical or a digital, any form of product, or you're looking for something specific or?
No, it's totally up to you. Of course, like digital would be more preferred because it's more about software these days. But yeah, absolutely up to you.
Got it. Sure. So, I think if I think about a favorite product, right? I would say that there are a couple of products which I use which are for daily grocery ordering, and specifically like I am married, I have a small kid, being like coming from building different products to using products, right? So one of my favorite product would be Milkbasket. So it's a product where it's mainly an app. I don't think so. There's a web version of this, but you can order your groceries every day, and right next day morning it comes at your doorstep. So I think this is one of the favorite products, and we would love to like delve deeper into this.
Let's do it. I've been a loyal customer of Milkbasket while I was in India. So yeah.
Got it. Awesome. So what we'll do, right? I think maybe I'll share my screen so that we can start discussing why is this my favorite product. And I think you also said that how we can actually improve the product. So we'll go step by step and go through the journey. So just give me one sec. I'll share my screen. Yep. You can see the screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So what I'm gonna do, I'll start taking a few notes.
Sure.
So I have a pen and copy. So I'll be making a few notes here, but we'll be discussing it on the screen.
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, I think we'll start with this. So favorite product. So yeah, it's Milk Basket. It's a daily grocery ordering app. Okay. Now, before we delve into this, right, that why do I like the product? I would like to set some context that, hey, what were the pain points? What was I going through, right? That why actually I like the product. So if we think of some of the pain points, right, from my point of view, there were some key things. One is that like ordering grocery, right? It's a very daily phenomenon. So it's a, you can say it's a high frequency, or you can say it's a very sort of a high frequency use case,
Absolutely.
right? And, there was a lot of time and energy, right? You spend a lot of time and energy to get this. Like even you go to a local grocer or go to some place, so you either have to go yourself or send someone, right? And so it's a lot of time consumption, a lot of effort and time which goes into this. And also, I think there were at times either you don't find stuff, like say if you go to a grocery store, you may not find something like your parents or someone, all the stuff at one place. And also another thing would be at times the quality is not apt, or maybe the prices are off, because you might actually see that if you go to a local grocer, right, the charges may be more. The same product might be cheaper on Amazon and all, right? So there were a lot of these pain points which I personally faced. And to a large extent, I would say that Milkbasket is solving for these. So if this makes sense to you, then I'd like to discuss like why I like the product. So
absolutely. I think you've
okay, sure.
hit it spot on. Like this is what Milkbasket is trying to solve for everyone. And I really like one of the things about them, like how they made it different than other grocery apps. Like you order it today and then you get the delivery tomorrow morning. So, your day is sorted. You will get it
Correct.
every morning. So that's something interesting.
So absolutely. So as you mentioned, right, I think let's just try to understand what are the key pivots, like why I like the product. So one thing is ease of use. Like you can say one click orders and order anytime by say, I think it's 11 p.m. in the night. You get the
Yeah.
orders next day. You can edit and change the cart anytime. So right, so its ease of use is pretty much there. Second thing is cost effective. Like you get decent deals and offers. So you are getting good value for money. So that is the second part. And I think third thing, right, which really resonates with me as a family of product, because
Yeah.
I actually like a lot of products. So the reason
Yeah.
why I chose this is about of environment efficiency. So I'll give an example of this. Uh, it's like if you order say something, because this is the world of Zeptos and like
Yeah.
10-minute delivery blinkets, Swiggy, Instamart, but there is a lot of packaging, lot of like transportation, so there is a lot of waste which is being generated, lot of resources which are being spent. So I personally love anything, right, which is more efficient. So
Okay.
though like there you can have robots doing deliveries or maybe like maybe electric driven,
Yeah.
no fuel use, but I do really love this because in the mornings I see there are like big vans coming which have like hundreds of orders. So like
Yeah.
this clubbing and aggregation, right? So that you can actually save a lot on the last mile delivery and on instant deliveries. That is really powerful. So these are some of the reasons why I like the product. So
That's
I'll
that's amazing.
let
I
you.
really like the last point.
Sure. Yeah. So now, like, you want me to think about like the gaps which exist and how do we
Exactly.
improve the product? Sure.
Yeah.
So when we say right, improve the product, right? So do you have like some objectives in mind? Like, do you want to just improve the experience or engagement? Like, do you have any guidance for me that hey, what do you mean by when you say improve, or should I take my assumptions and proceed with the case?
I think we can focus on engagement and target that, and then you can think about ideas on improving that.
Sure, sure. So sure. So I think let's take improvement of engagement and end user experience as one of the objectives,
Okay.
and then let me think through the pain points. So what I'll do, I'll try to think of the pain points. I'll try to prioritize them, and then we'll think of few solutions, and then potentially pick a couple of solutions, and then try to see how we can implement them. Right. So I'll try to follow that flow.
Sounds
Okay.
great.
So, give me 1 second, sir. Row below. Yeah. So give me like 30 seconds. Let me just think through the top
Sure.
pain points.
Take your time.
Okay. So uh in 1 sec. Sometimes this happens. Pardon the
No worries.
glitch. I'll just yeah. So it is also actually very interesting. Like the quit button comes after 5-10 seconds. So this
Yeah.
is a way that we start their updates. Yeah. So when I think of this, right, I think if I think from a regular target consumer, right, because typically it's households and the households can be like either bachelors or family. There are a lot of overlaps. There might
Yeah.
be some distinct use cases for separate TG. But if I generically look at a target group of like family, which is their primary audience, right? So
Yeah.
some of the things which I could think of in this context is, I think, in slightly priority order, I'm trying to do some prioritization as well, and I'll take another stab at it. that search is not optimal. So for example, you would sometimes try to type in English
Yeah.
or say other queries or other languages. For example, you might call something like a jeera or not cumin seeds, or there are a lot of like stuff where are different names like
Yeah.
India, right? Every boundary, the language changes, or non-English queries. So that I think the results are not very optimal. I have seen many times myself that until you write the query well, it's not that great. So I think this is one opportunity that the search is not optimal. The
Got it.
second thing which I could find is that the payment options are also not complete, are also not fully relevant. So, for example, there are lot of stuff these days like buy now, pay later, or automatic recharges, and even there are more stuff. I'll get into it later on, but this is
Yes.
what I could recollect right now. The third thing I think would be is that they don't have anything to really wow the users. So what I feel that the offering, like you have all the categories, you have grocery, you have frozen foods, everything, but you don't really have, like, it has become more like a, you feel it's like a commodity. But there is, I think, some aspects of missing novelty. So I'll try to cover this. It's either you can say it's like a cred like experience, or maybe you want to give say a recipe of the day, like you
Yeah.
can actually pre like selected raw ingredients in that order. You just click, make a click, and you get a recipe with, you can order all the ingredients, right? There are lot of things right now. It's little bit trending more towards a commodity, so they are not innovating that much on the end user experience or wowing the user. So I
Got
think
it.
these are some of the pain points, and I think in the similar order, like say I'll call this as number one, payment is also critical, and this will be my number three. So these are the sort of three pain points which I can think of in this order,
Got
which
it.
I think for this target group still exist.
Absolutely. I think I totally agree with all these points. They are very relevant. I also wanted to understand, like, how would you prioritize, which pain point to pick?
Sure, so that's a good point. So typically, right, in any when we prioritize anything, right, we try to look at like some pivots, right? You create some pivot on what will be the cost benefit analysis, or how do you like do a ROI estimation based on the outcome and the effort which is involved. So
Yeah.
here I will see what is the end user impact, and if in this case if it is engagement, monetization can also be one thing, and what is the effort it takes, right? Because if you want to say do something on search, what are the big themes which are broken, how much potential upside you have. For example, if I want to work on some multi-language models or improving vernacular search, if I
Yeah.
know that for 80% of my search results I have a relevant result where people actually engage with the results,
Yeah.
but 20% still people are not engaging with the outcome.
Yeah.
So I think I will try to create a framework around this where we understand what is the end user impact and what is the effort it takes, which includes the cost and timelines. And then
Got it.
accordingly, like we will do an actual prioritization. This is just a high level, like quick prioritization for now.
Understood.
Yep. So yeah, I think after this, like if you are good, I think we can try to prioritize a few solutions, and then I can try to see like how will we actually ship them, and what will be the success criteria
Yeah.
for those solutions. Does
Absolutely.
that sound?
Let's go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So imagine like I'll take a couple of these to illustrate how I'll think of the solution. So I think I'll do a couple of solutions. So one will be improving search. So that will be one thing. And when we say search, right, it let's try to make it a little bit specific, because search is a very big bucket, right, and it's very generic.
Yeah.
So just I'll say vernacular Vernacular is basically support for mixed language and multi-language support. The
Yeah.
vernacular model. So imagine we have done some analysis. We understand it's one big piece which can really improve the search results. So we want to start adding those vernacular models so that we improve the suggestions and the search results for those particular type of queries, which our query classifier will understand. And second thing which I want to try out is recipe of the day. So this recipe of the day, because this will have like something different, new for people to look forward to, and it will increase the engagement as well as monetization aspect of it. So this will make it slightly more interesting as compared to just like a commodity feeling on the app right now. So these are the two features or initiatives which I love to try out in the same order.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you want me to detail these out, or you want me to look at the success metrics if imagine we were to roll it out?
I think maybe you could just spend a few details on these two, and then we can look at, success metrics of both of these.
Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. That sounds good, Aakriti. So if I were to look at improving a search, right? So what we will do, right? We will first try to identify the use cases. So the use cases, as we discussed, right, that hey, there are certain search terms where either the suggestions, the query auto suggest, because you would have seen, right, the auto suggestions show up.
Yeah.
Auto suggestions don't work, and or the search results are not good, and we can have different metrics. Like you, when you show something, we can actually see that hey, how many times people are actually adding something to the cart. So we can see that hey, for a certain set of queries, like the addition to cart rate is less than 20%. So we know that there is something wrong on those queries, and then we can create certain classifiers that it's okay, yeah, certain classifiers, right, which sort of you can leverage. There are different language models. Google provides some APIs and all, and there are other open source search optimization APIs also which are available. So you create these classifiers to understand more about these terms, keywords which people are using on the platform daily. And then we'll keep like the success metrics I'll cover in the next, but then you identify that hey, determine what can be the precision recall for the vernacular models which you are creating. So this will give you a sense that hey, if there are like how many queries can the classifier catch. So imagine there are 100 queries which are falling in this. So 40 out of 100 queries the classifier can actually act upon. And what is the precision of the model? So you would ideally want a 95% plus precision. So measuring precision also, you can take a sample and then see how many times you are able to identify what the user is trying to search. And then slowly you can work on ways to improve the model. So this is one framework you can create to identify a certain set of problem and then figure out ways on how to optimize the search results. So about the search. Yeah. And say recipe of the day, again, what we can do, we can think through that, hey, based on the like the type of users and the things which they order, what are the interesting things which can be clubbed together. So say it can be say malai paneer or like some interesting salads. Like we'll have to do some research and then like create a good catalog, say of 10 to 15 dishes, and see if it can be customized to a particular region. Like people in Telangana, Karnataka versus a Gurgaon, like they will try to have different things, and then you test the concept out. So before that, right, then you sort of create catalogs around this, that hey, rupees 150 this dish and whatever are the 4 raw ingredients. And then you slowly like create a section on this for whatever I think, and then test the concept with like 3 to 4 bouquets of recipes in a particular city, and then slowly understanding how much traction it is picking, what is the ordered rate, conversion rate, repeat rate. We can get a sense of if the concept is working and whether to how to improvise and scale it further. So I think
Got it.
that's
Got it.
potentially we can try to approach these two initiatives.
Understood. So basically, on recipe of the day, you want to do a proof of concept, see if it works for one city, and if it does, then you want to scale it to others. And I think you've made a very relevant point that every city and every persona will have different requirements in terms of the dishes they like. So before scaling, it's important that you tackle one and see if it works, and then try to scale it up further.
That's correct. That's correct. Yes.
Sounds good. Yeah, we can go test metrics then.
Sure. So let's do one thing. So insert row below. So what I like to do is let's look at the success metrics, and then I'll try to see risks. I'll try to think through that if there are any risks or anything we need to consider.
Yeah.
And then we'll just summarize the solution. So for let's break it into two because we took two features, right? So let me try to find some metrics for both of them. So the top line metric for search would be, let me just think through that. If I were to just improve certain models, right? So my metrics will be main on the lines of search efficacy. So what I will try to do is percentage of searches which are resulting in an order. So if this number say was 78% earlier, we will see if this number can actually jump to whatever 82, 84, right? So that will be the primary metric, though we will break it down to a precision and recall metrics at a classifier level. But holistically, it should ideally improve the conversion, either addition to a cart or placing an order when a search is made. So that is the primary metric. And recipe of the day would be number of people engaging is a high level, but number of people ordering from recipe of the day, it's like you look at the conversion, like people engaging to cart to checkout, and also like some sort of retention numbers. Like at least I will try to see, because you don't want a feature to come, people use it once, they never use it again. So I would love to try more of a monthly engagement, that hey, if someone use my feature once, I am looking for ideally a 80% plus monthly retention. So this really means that hey, I'm adding some value that people are actually ordering again. Otherwise, right, you just will acquire users, they leave. So it's like a leaky bucket.
I
These are
totally
the two metrics I think I will look at.
Sounds perfect. And I agree with you on retention, because if you develop a product where you have more and more users, but they are not able to stick to you, then there's no point of that product. So,
correct. Sure. So let me just think through if there are any risks or anything. So on the recipe of the day, at least nothing critical comes to my mind. However, on the search piece, right? I would love to see if there are any sort of legal risks around using the new models. And because what happens, right, is you store the data, and there are like legal and the data privacy laws which we need to adhere to. So I think specifically on the search models part, I would double check from a legal point of view and the data compliance and everything. Other than that, I don't see any potential risks for these two initiatives.
Sure, I think this really covers up, and risk is a great addition, like which a lot of people don't think so. That's amazing that you've covered it. So do you like to summarize now? Like how would you?
Sure. Absolutely agree. So I think like we started with understanding which is the favorite product, and it's very important to set context, right? Why we like something, what was the pain, what it is trying to solve. So that is important. One thing I like to add, right? Why do we like the product? We should try to like see how it resonates with you. For example, for me, I really love that if everything is efficient, we can optimize things. So that is the part why I was able to connect with this product. So it's great if you can relate it to a personal story, it adds more value. And then we like identified what is the part we want to improve, what is the objective of making the improvements, and then try to dig into the pain points try to understand for which target user we are creating those pain points and prioritize the pain points. Then we picked like a couple of solutions which we think could add the maximum value. And it is good to identify parameters, why we are picking one thing over the other, what are the trade-offs, what is the framework for prioritization. And then good to look at from a success metrics point of view. Also, it's good to look at some primary metrics and maybe one or two sub metrics, but don't give too much of detailing until asked for. And also we can talk a little bit of the future. For example, if someone is trying to work on search, maybe we can concept if there is a need for a voice search or voice search capabilities. So little bit of futuristic thinking is also helpful if we can delve that in. And then in the end, we can call out any risks, if any, so that we are just rounding up the solution, and then sort of we can summarize and end.
Great, great. That's amazing, Ankit. Like, I think you've like covered it in proper detail of how we should do this interview. So thank you so much for this visual representation. I think this really helps. Like, I would use this in my interview as well, because it really helps in the interview we understand, like, what is our thought process, how we are going about it, rather than just keeping our notes to ourselves. So this is definitely a great practice. Thank you so much, Ankit, for doing this. This was super helpful.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aakriti.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you so much.
If you liked our video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And you can also subscribe to BM School channel for more updates. Thank you. Bye-bye.